Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at how to play the Caro-Kann in under 5 minutes. So in my last video, I covered how to play the Sicilian in under 5 minutes, and this series is all about giving you direct and simple concepts and ideas about the openings rather than complex theory that you have to memorize. So in general, you can apply these concepts that I'll be showing you to most of the variations and positions. So the Caro-Kann is marked with e4 and c6. This is the start of the Caro-Kann, and it usually goes d4, d5. This is the real Caro-Kann position, so to speak. Now, the Caro-Kann relies for black. I'll be recommending this for black. It relies in long-term play rather than quick attacks usually. So it greatly differs from the Sicilian in that aspect. Black's main idea is to get a French structure without the bad bishop. Now, what do I mean by a French structure? Well, the French defense comes after e4, e6, d4, d5, and white usually goes e5. And you can see here the light squared bishop is a very, very bad piece. So by playing c6 first and d5, after, for example, e5, there's two moves here, bishop f5 and c5. I suggest, I slightly prefer bishop f5, and the point is to go e6 next and get this bishop outside the pawn chain. So the bishop would be terrible if the pawn were on e6, but on f5 it's actually a very good piece. And so with that, yes, we lost the tempo with c6 instead of e6. And this is the main debate, whether this tempo loss is significant or not. With that said, the Caro-Kann is played by many, many, many top players. Nowadays, it has always been a very respectable opening. So we're going to be taking a look today at a little bit of deeper concepts. So yes, e5 is the advanced variation. It's the most popular one. There's bishop f5 and there is c5 here. And then you're going to try to go bishop f5 if you can. Immediately strike at white's center. However, here there's two other moves. There's knight c3 and there's e takes d5, which is the exchange variation. Here we should just simply take back. And the point behind c6 is that we don't have to take with the queen, which would lose time to a move like knight c3. So we managed to take with the pawn, and we have a very healthy pawn structure. This concept of a very healthy pawn structure, which means the pawns are very, connected, and in general there's not big weaknesses, is one that goes throughout the whole Caro-Kann and basically all positions. Black is always very solid, and that's what the player relies on. So we're going to be taking a look at knight c3. Here you should trade on e4, and here there are three moves. There's bishop f5, there's knight f6, and there's knight d7, which is a little bit of a rare move. Also very respectable, but not basically not in fashion these days. Bishop f5 is very topical. Here comes knight g3, bishop g6, knight f3, knight d7, and h4 is a typical idea by white, threatening to go h5 and trap our bishop. So we have to save our bishop with h6. h5 comes, bishop d3, trade the bishops, e6, bishop f4 is one of the ways to play. The other is bishop d2. This is very, very normal. A lot of positions have been seen from this. A lot of games have been seen from this position. Bishop e7, king b1, and castles. And both sides will attack each other's kings since they are castled in opposite wings. So black will go b5, maybe a5, e4, perhaps c5. And white will try to gang up some pieces on the king side. He's already got quite a big stack over there. Maybe get a rook pointing at black's king, maybe sacrifice on h6. And that's a very reached position. Namely, on the top of my head, Firouzja has been experimenting with this quite a lot lately, maybe for the past year or 2 years. Coming back here, actually the move that I even like more than bishop f5, which I also like, is knight f6. I really like this move. And it's very trendy these days, actually, among the top level. So white should trade, and we can take with the g-pawn, but I like taking with the e-pawn. I think it makes more sense. And the main line goes c3, bishop d6, bishop d3, castles, queen c2. So basically, black's structure around the king is extremely solid, which means the king is very safe. There are very few instances where white actually gets a big attack on black's king. And so here we should go h5, check first, excuse me, knight e2 and h5. And a recent game between two GMs in the top 100 in the world. One of them actually top 10, went h3, knight d7, and the player with the black pieces, which is Maxime Michelagrov, an extraordinarily strong player. He performed this idea, which is very typical in this variation. And he sacrificed a piece here. He got two pieces for a rook. But yes, it's basically a sacrifice. And he went on to win a very beautiful game. So again, it's a very, very rich opening. Very solid for black. It generally involves less risk than an opening like the Sicilian, which is more aggressive. And if you are that type of player, a more aggressive player, I recommend seeing my video on how to play the Sicilian in under 5 minutes. This one, more solid and a slower approach. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to learn how to play the Sicilian or the London system, I've already covered those two videos in my chess openings playlist, which I'll link down below. And yeah, that's all for today. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.